The two rivers, White Nile and Blue Nile, meet at the Sudanese capital of Khartoum. Here, the Blue Nile and White Nile arrive as equals in stature and equivalents in name. So, their confluence, they both change their names as they become for the next 3,000 kilometers to the Mediterranean Sea. The tribe in this region is Nubians. Nubians are a Nilo-Saharan ethnic group indigenous to the region, which is now northern Sudan and southern Egypt. They originate from the early inhabitants of the central Nile Valley, believed to be one of the earliest cradle of civilization. In the southern valley of Egypt, Nubians differ culturally and ethnically from Egyptian, although they intermarry with members of other ethnic groups, especially Arabs. They speak Nubian language as their mother tongue, part of the northern Eastern Sudanese languages, and Arab as the second language. Neolithic settlements have been found in the central Nubia region, dating back to 7000 BC, with the Wadi Halfa believed to be the oldest settlement in the central Nile Valley. Parts of Nubia, particularly Lower Nubia, were at times a part of ancient pharaonic Egypt, and at other times a rival state representing parts of Meroe or the kingdom Kush. By 25th dynasty, all of Egypt was united with the Nubia, extending down to what is now Khartoum. However, in 656 BC, the native 26th dynasty regained control of Egypt. As warriors, the ancient Nubians were famous for their skills and precision with the bow and arrows. In the Middle Age, the Nubia converted to Christianity and established three kingdoms, that is Nobatia in the north, Makuria in the center, and Alodia in the south. They then converted to Islam during the Islamization of the Sudan region. Today, Nubians in Egypt primarily live in southern Egypt, especially in Kom and Nasr al-Nuba, north of Aswan, and large cities such as Cairo, while Sudanese Nubians live in northern Sudan, particularly in the region between the city of Wadi Halfa on the Egypt-Sudan border and Al-Dab. So, River Nile flow through the Nubian Desert in Sudan to Aswan High Dam in Egypt. The earliest recorded attempt to build a dam near Aswan was in 11th century when Arab polymath and engineer Ibn al-Haytham was summoned to Egypt by the Fatimid Caliph al-Hakim to regulate the flooding of the Nile, a task requiring an early attempt at Aswan Dam. His fieldwork convinced him of the impracticality of this scheme. So, the British began construction of the first dam, that is Aswan Low Dam, across the Nile in 1898. Construction lasted until 1902 and the dam was opened in 10th December 1902. The project was designed by Sir William Wilcox and involved several eminent engineers. In 1952, the Greek-Egyptian engineer Adrian Daninos began to develop the plan of the new Aswan Dam, that is Aswan High Dam, although the low dam was almost overtopped in 1946. So the government of King Farouk showed no interest in Daninos' plan. Instead, the Nile Valley plan by the British hydrologist Harold Edwin Hurst was favored, which proposed the store of water in Sudan and Ethiopia, where evaporation is much lower. The Egyptian position changed completely after the overthrow of the monarchy, led by the Free Officers movement, including Gamal Abdel Nasser. The Free Officers were convinced that the Nile waters had to be stored in Egypt for political reasons, and within 2 months, the plan of Daninos was accepted. Initially, both the United States and the USSR were interested in helping development of the dam. Complication ensued due to their rivalry during the Cold War, as well as growing of intra-Arab tensions. In 1955, NASA was claiming to be the leader of the Arab nationalism, in opposition to the traditional monarchies. At that time, the US feared that communism would spread to the Middle East, and it saw NASA as a natural leader of the anti-communist pro-capitalist Arab League. America and United Kingdom offered to help finance construction of the high dam with a loan of $270 million. The Soviets also provided technicians and heavy machinery. The construction started on 9th January 1960. The first dam construction stage completed in 1964, and reservoir started filling. The high dam completed on 21st July 1970, and then the reservoir reached capacity in 1976. Due to the absence of appreciable rainfall, Egypt's agriculture depends entirely on irrigation. River Nile then proceeds to the Mediterranean Sea through Cairo town, where it forms a delta. Nile has been the lifeline of civilization in Egypt since the Stone Age, with most of the population and all cities of Egypt developing along those parts of the Nile Valley lying north of Aswan. So this is the last part of River Nile. If you haven't watched other parts, kindly do. They have interesting stories. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching.